Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome to the Next Block, episode 108. We're here to talk about a whole bunch of things that's been going on in crypto lately. How you doing, Crypto for Change?
Yeah, I'm doing good, doing good. The market's still looking good, as far as I can tell. Obviously, I'm not financial advice on anything we say during this show. This is us just telling about what we see in the markets. But it's definitely been a very interesting. I know we didn't go live last week, so it's kind of a lot that we kind of missed. I feel like in that in between time with Ethereum getting its ETF approved, there were some big wins in just the Democrats now seem to be very much more pro crypto and kind of
Mhm.
like crushing Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler's stance. And so I don't know, it's going to be very interesting, especially when you consider both Trump and Biden. They're both their sides are really trying to jockey for the swing votes of those crypto focused voters out there. So with the elections coming up this fall, I mean, I think it's just setting up. I think there's going to be things that pop off in the summer, but it could really get hot come later this year. Honestly, I'm not buying any, so this is not me trying to, sell you my bags, right? Like if I was a betting person though, I'd probably hold a little bit of that Bowden and Trump memes on Solana, just because come the like debates and come the elections, like those things are going to pop, especially if there's like any funny thing said against Bowden. And honestly, I wouldn't even be
Yeah,
surprised
Bowden.
if Trump like mentioned Bowden, like, oh yeah, you got an NFT, like their meme coin, they're making fun of you. Like it would be kind of funny. So I just know that later this year it's probably going to have some big things happen. But outside of that, it just the whole space it looks prime for another run. I'm ready to show some charts and show you guys what I'm seeing, but also excited to see what everybody else is seeing in the chat. So let us know if you're here and what you're excited about.
Yeah, definitely the Democrats have to change their tone if the
Oh yeah.
Republicans is like, let's go with the crypto. I think that's good for everybody. That's a good I don't know how large the voting block is, but a lot of the crypto Twitter, they want whoever's pro crypto. We see Garen Gensler getting crushed. You said Elizabeth Warren. They need to be crushed because they have clearly been wrong. The SEC and all of that, which we'll get to, is going down with their, ETF approvals and whatnot. So they've been a little off, and that's good to see over here.
Yeah, it was
All right,
also
let's see.
interesting to see some of Sailor's comments, about how Bitcoin is the only one that would ever got a spot ETF, and obviously now you saw Ethereum kind of get there as a really quick, earlier than like I think it was like 4 months after, and
Mhm.
and now you already have all the Solana and the XRP and the next iteration saying like, oh, when is this one going to get an ETF? Like I don't really foresee any other ETFs getting approved this year. If anything, I could see a Solana one just because the hype and the people that are behind it. Like there's money there, so I could see it getting pushed. But honestly, I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are the only two that have solidified their ability for ETFs, spot ETFs, and things like that.
Yeah,
But
I think with Solana, we can't fade Solana. It's
oh
basically
no,
the number three crypto. Even though people knock it on Twitter, or a lot of
yeah,
Algorand people, but it has proven itself.
yeah. I
Without
mean,
Sam Bankman-Fried and anything, it's still up there.
yeah, and honestly, it'll be interesting to see where it's at come the end of the year. I would not be surprised to see it right behind, flipping XRP and Binance and all the other tokens that are right
I
ahead of it.
see it as
Because
number three.
yeah, it definitely has as like I say, as long as it can stay up, as long as it can stay, smooth, right? I think it's there. And that's why it'll be interesting. And that's why I'm saying like there's a lot of meme plays that are on Solana. I don't really know many like big plays on Solana outside of maybe like a Render or a Helium network. I mean, there are some other ones probably mixed in there. Beam, I think might be, but that's the one thing that I would be weary of is the fact that most of Solana is still just memes. Like I don't really see anything like good, any real world utility things getting
Or how
built outside of some of
how you
those.
feel about Planet Watch, Render, Helium?
I mean, like I
What's
said,
your thoughts there?
I like Render. I mean, I made a lot of money off that one when it took off. I think Helium is another project that's in a saturated market. I think there's a lot of projects doing that decentralized network type thing with
Mhm.
putting the little miners in the homes to to connect it. But I think Render is maybe has the biggest legs out of anything on Solana as far as like a real world project. And the main reason I say that is just because the people who are behind it. There's a lot of big names on that board of directors. So there's a lot of money there and a lot of power that could push and pull and actually make sure that that thing is utilized. Like I said, as long as the Solana network stays good.
Yeah. So what's your thought on this? Because this is something I'm also seeing that, you know, each blockchain has a different usage. So we got Bitcoin is Bitcoin, the big dog. Ethereum, and I saw like article by or a blog by Vitalik. He's talking about like L2s are more than just scaling; they're also like a subculture. And I definitely
Hmm.
with that because you got the bases, you got, you know, optimisms and all of that. But then you got a Solana, as we talked about, they're trading meme coins, and that it essentially is like another FTX, or, you know, a place to just trade crypto for the people who want to gamble, for the people who want to, you know, get with volatility and swing trading and all that. What's your thoughts there?
I mean, I definitely think, you know, what you're saying is, you know, spot on. You know, my thing is just trying to figure out, trying to see through all the noise, right? Because even with, you know, where Ethereum's at and where Bitcoin's at, you know, a lot of the stuff that we see is still fluff, right? To me, it
Mhm.
still is, and that's why you have to be careful. You kind of said it, you know, Solana's kind of the FTX, you know, because you got to think about it. If I have, you know, I don't know the, you know, I'm not going to spit a number out because I don't know, but I'm sure a large percentage of Solana transactions are memes, right? And we know what happens to memes in bear markets; they get decimated. And so my thought is like, what happens to Solana when meme season's over? Now, you know, there's some bulls out there who'll say, "Oh, meme season, you know, super cycle, it's never going to end." It will end, and when it
Yeah,
does, that's what I'm saying is where's the value going to be? And that's why I look at
it
some of
goes
the
to
others.
Solana.
I mean, maybe, but you know, that's yet to be seen. We'll have to see
Everybody
if
they
people,
jump back into Solana and hold their bags.
and they may, yeah, we'll see how far they hold them down. Because, you know, Solana was still one of the ones that went down, you know, 90 something percent in this last bear market. So, you know, here's the thing that's changed me since the last, you know, over the last 4 years is like, I'm not getting caught up in a lot of the hype. I'm finding projects and things I like that are making me money. I'm trading them and I'm taking my like bias aside of like, oh, this is me. Like I'm no longer Algorand because that's what I used to be, right? Like I used to be
Mhm.
like, you know, Algorand's my identity in the crypto space. That's no longer it. I love Algorand. I think the technology is great, and we're actually going to talk a little bit about some of the, you know,
Yep.
some of its issues that it still has. But that's just kind of where I am at. Ryan saying, "Where the fuck Silvio?"
Yeah, that's why
I
I'm laughing.
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah.
We're
Like,
gonna we're gonna. You know
yeah.
what? Let's go ahead and jump into
What the
that
fuck
one.
is Silvio McCallum?
Let's jump into that one because you
Yeah.
know, we got stiff
Uh,
armed by Silvio McCallie.
yeah.
We've been doing this show for over 2 years. He didn't want to come on ours. So, you know, Fisherman had a
Silvio
good
getting an
write up
award
here.
somewhere.
Yeah, probably. But Fisherman had a good post, right? And this is
Yeah.
in response to
Shout out to
Freaky
Fisherman. That
saying,
was a great post.
yeah,
Mhm.
why does nobody like Algorand? Likes Algorand. But he goes on to say, let me just make this bigger for me. Predatory tokenomics that allowed original backers to dump into a bull market at extremely highly fully diluted value of $1 to $2 algo. Right? Yeah, it's Scaramucci. All these big whales that we met when we were in Decipher telling you not to sell your algo at $2. Right? Because they were. They didn't want you selling because they were selling. While
Yeah,
retail, and
Scaramucci told.
I'll tell you this, this was very predatory because if you were there at the Miami Indecipher, they like Silvio and his little team of some of the marketing people, they were off to the side, right? They'd have their little private meetings with Michael Arrington and you know the
Mhm.
four bulls of Algorand, Michael
It was like
Arrington,
dump now.
Scaramucci, right? No, yeah, they're telling like, oh yeah, we're running this thing up, right?
Yeah.
So while retail was buying, that's us, and in Max Mania, bear hit, retail stops buying, but the selling didn't stop, right? Scaramucci, all those guys, they're dumping on us all the way down. You know, Arrington Capital dumping all that, and got crushed all the way to
Seb
8 cents.
Quinn
Yeah,
dumping.
all the scams that ran. I mean, you could look at
Opolis.
Opulus, you could look at Reach and Chris Swinner and all the guys who all the money they extrapolated,
Swinner
and now
dumped.
they're out
Yep.
there building their own stuff. Now the chart looks terrible, right? You look at Algorand's chart versus anything in the space. Why would you buy it unless you are the maybe the people who think it's just gonna further the springs loaded, the higher it's going to bounce. But it says now the chart looks terrible, not a new shiny thing anymore. The treasury that was once massive has dwindled fast due to poor decision making. Not all these are on the current people who are in places of power in Algorand, but must now do more with less. And to reverse a ship takes twice as long as just launching in the right direction. Marketing was terrible for the first 4 years. I would say, yeah, pretty piss poor. On top of the founder being almost absent for the last 2 years. And that's where I put out the tweet, where the fuck Silvio McCallie? Like literally, dude has built what he thinks and what he says is one of the best blockchains out there, made for governments, made for, real world enterprise
Yep.
grade level businesses to build on. And the dude went on Paris Blockchain Week and didn't even say Algorand's name.
Yeah, that was deep. That was
Right.
real deep
So,
right there.
yeah, F. Silvio McCauley, he's letting Algorand die, if you ask me, because he didn't really care. But, anyways, off my soapbox, not salty that he didn't come on the show. No Vitalik figure to lead the culture and vibes. I will say, to his note, I do think John Woods has done a decent job, right, at trying to help build the culture and the vibes and keep the energy up. And now Mark has come in and with that commercial. We'll get to that in a bit. And the ones we did have turned out to be tourists, not here for the right reasons. You can imagine who I'm speaking about. I feel the marketing has taken a 180 now with John Woods and Mark. I would agree. They are doers, not charlatans, and they get this highly advertisable environment where you need to push 100% constantly. And not only that you push, you really got to push hard, because there's a lot of other chains that are pushing hard against Algorand. And here's where it kind of goes on. The economics are still effed, in his opinion. And this is why he says, I believe people will still look at Algorand as half-baked. Right or wrong, people view the network transaction fees as its earnings. So obviously, Algorands are very low. Low fees on Algorand make our price earnings ratio extremely high. This leads people, to believe we have low demand for block space and therefore not a very valuable network. Currently, it is not a self-sustaining hard system either. Centralized node runners, aka relays, which are permissioned, have been consistent thorn in the side of the decentralization maxis. That's a big one. A lot of reason why people say, something like Solana is even better than Algorand, even though its tech's not there, it's further decentralized, which there's a whole debate there too. I would say, especially when it comes to storing Solana's, chain. Continuing, while Algorand is actually fulfilling the Bitcoin white paper peer-to-peer payment system, we are not the same philosophically or culturally, right? There's no memes. And you think of culture, there are no funny memes on Algorand. Like, you have PEPE, and PEPE is amazing because that's one of the, soon to be, I think, the largest meme, right? It's at a 5 billion market cap now, but it's just not there. There's nothing else. You have Coop, you have...
It's an Ethereum meme.
Yeah, you have A200. Like, you have literally the dumbest memes I think I've ever heard of, to an extent. Obviously, I love Coop and I love what he's done with what he's built. But even then, it's like Ben coin from Ben.
Basically, it's a Ben coin.
Yeah, it's he has to continue and keep up with making content, or at some point that one's gonna kind of lose its value. Continuing on though, while Algorand is actually fulfilling, I lost my spot. Now that the pump is passed, right? We're like a teenager trying to be adopted. Why adopt the older, more troubled kid when you can adopt a young kid and shape their worldview ideals in crypto speak? Why buy someone else's bags instead of building something new and being early? Which I think is huge. Here's his fixes, right? It's not all negative. He says, build a real public goods funding mechanism, make relays non-permission, create a self-sustaining network where transaction fees dumped into a fee sink, and then the fee sink automatically pays out to public goods, mechanism validators, plus Algorand Foundation. If fees aren't high enough to be self-sustaining, raise the fees, stop hiring, fire anyone who doesn't have 1,000 transactions on chain, only hire cracked engineers, penny pinch the organizations, not the community, plan the end game of the Algorand Foundation, Algorand Technologies, and how to bring community members into core dev roles while not being Algorand Foundation, Algorand Technologies employees. And he goes on to say a little bit more, but I would just say a lot of what he says is pretty spot on. I couldn't see any of the comments, so I might have to go back and read some of these. But Algorand, a lot of it was the way it launched, and just a lot of the it still is feeling the repercussions of a lot of those things. And it, like he said, it takes twice as long to turn a ship around that's been going the wrong direction, right? So it's in this, and they're trying to do it right with the whole Queen's Gambit, all those things in decentralization. You have the good commercial that came out. I think that did a great job. Had over 1 million views. Like, you're obviously, and you're getting larger accounts to kind of show, hey, Algorand's got some fight left in them. Like, they're coming out swinging, showing a lot of the the inefficiencies of some of these others. And that's, and it still makes me excited for its future. Top 5 by 2025. I'll be honest, I would be surprised at the current, way Algorand is moving. I would be surprised to see Algorand in top 25 by 2025. Like, I'm just saying. And that's because, like, honestly, I think I think a lot of memes are still going to pass Algorand. Like they're still like, I still think memes are, you know, still in its infancy in some of these. And I think a lot of people are going to be mad. Like if I go ahead and bring up the top 25 or crypto coin market cap. Let's look at the top 100. Like you just scroll through, you know, a lot of the top, I would say 25 to 30, you know, most of these are not even going to perform that great, I think, as we continue on. Obviously, Solana, you know, a lot of these in the top 10 will.
Your tongue coin
XRP,
came out of nowhere.
I think XRP is going to, you know, not do great. Cardano, I think, is going to not do great. I would say
Pepe top 20 almost.
yeah, Pepe's already up there. Litecoin, ICP, and the reason why is because the market is so saturated right now that you're
Render.
just a lot of the newer ones, right? The new shiny toys are taking up dog with fat, are taking up the market cap that some of these
Casper.
older, you know, layer ones could be getting.
Mantle.
And so I think there's just tons and tons and tons of, you
Even
know,
stacks. Oh, wow.
I mean, yeah, so that is honestly just where I'm at, with just thinking, you know,
Floki? Oh no.
even looking at, I mean, where is Algorand? Are we still in
I'm
the top
still looking.
60?
I'm still
I
going. I'm
know
still
we got to
going.
get down there.
Let's see. Ah,
There we are, 61. So
okay,
we got a lot of ground to
61.
make up. And it's not even, I mean, you look at the market cap. That's, I mean, what do we have to get to? What market cap do we got to get to be top 5? What is that like?
Oh no. Let's see. We're gonna go way up here.
So that passed
70
Solana,
billion. So
77.
at least 30 billion. At least 30 billion. We'll say
Yeah, to
that.
get past, yeah, which is
That's
just like
that's a
insane
lot.
to think about because you would like so many things would have to change and so much money would have to come in. Um,
Well, I like what John was saying. And you know, I'm not a hater on hiring people, but that is something we keep seeing. Algorand's always hiring.
yeah,
Where do they get the money from? You know, and I saw a post the other day. Eldar was talking about drone racing league, you know, the selling boats. What happened there? You know, and I guess that wasn't technically Algorand Foundation,
but
supposedly.
it's still bad.
Yeah,
Like that was part of the 4 years of bad marketing. Literally throwing money to the bike
yeah,
club, to the sailboats, to all the dumb things that now that's the reation why they can't support the community. That's the reason why they
yeah.
can't attract developers. I mean, yes, they have Python and Python is the number one language, but guess what? Developers want to get paid, especially if you remember that like 2 weeks ago we were showing how much a you know, a
Developer
developer
makes, yeah,
makes. How are they going to make that money if Algorand can't incentivize it? And that's where I think Fisherman is spot on. There
yeah.
needs to
And if
be
you
a
look at
public funding, you know, way that's you know, retroactive. Says, hey, if you build, there's
mhm,
money here.
multiple explorers shut down. We have Algo Foundry, which was a development company, shut down, and Messina is
Yeah,
the, you know, pretty much the only one still left out of there. I guess Algorand as well. But yeah,
yeah,
a lot of the things that he pointed out are on point and they're accurate. And it's not even a emotional critique; it's a real constructive critique. And yes, I agree. John and Mark are doing a great job, but those two are in positions that are different. A CTO and a CMO is not the board; they're not the CEO; they're not the head of the leadership technically. So
yeah,
there's the things that John pointed out that I think people should take a look at, had to bookmark that thing and then see what's happening. You got something
yeah.
else to show?
Yeah, I was just going to say we could hop over, look at some of the charts that, you know, I've been seeing, but on a macro scale, you know, for this bull market, you know, for those people who are still wondering, you know, where's the value? Should I still be, you know, is the bull market done? I think we still for sure have legs to go in this bull market. I'm just going to bring this up bigger so I can see it. But this is Bitcoin, right? So this is where we're at Bitcoin. These vertical lines are marking, you know, and this is the weekly time frame. This is marking every single time we've had a bull cross on the stochastic RSI. And so I think what you're seeing here is similar to what you're seeing right here, with, you know, Bitcoin had that bearish move down. It was like 5-6 weeks straight almost of red. And now we've seen this pop back and we still have some room to run. And even when you come over on the monthly chart, which I think shows a little bit more, right? We're like staying above the 80 line here is really bullish. And if Bitcoin can bounce here and start June, right? And end June bullish and we stay back above and we, you know, set new all-time highs, get back to like 80K. I think that very well looks good, especially if you look back to the cycle I think that this one's going to mirror, which is this one. You bounced above this 80 line quite a bit before crashing and going through that bear market. So right now, this is the second test, and it looks similar to something like this, although I'd say we're a little bit further along in the cycle. But that is yet to be seen what will happen with Bitcoin. But it is good news that over the coming weeks, days, we could be seeing Bitcoin setting new all-time highs. Now, we'll say if you do come down on the daily time frame with this, there is some cause for concern. But if I was a trader, I'd definitely be loading up in this area, selling, or at least looking to sell in this area, because to me, it looks very similar in the past to some of these long, drawn-out, sideways just movements of Bitcoin, right? It's not really bullish or bearish. It's really crabbish until you get that impulsive move. And I think now we're just going to range here until we get that impulsive move up to the 80K range. And then if you go over to Ethereum, right? Ethereum had a really nice pop because we had the big news of, ETH ETF getting approved. That obviously sent Ethereum spiking. That's the largest candle it's had this entire bull market. So that is obviously big. And Ethereum is still yet to even set a new all-time high, right? Bitcoin's already set a new all-time high this run. Ethereum has not. So Ethereum, I think, still has a lot of legs left to go. And with that news, we did get a bullish cross on the weekly RSI. And as you can tell, those bullish crosses have, signaled at least to some extent moves higher. So I would not be surprised to see, Ethereum continue to move higher, possibly setting a new all-time high, later this fall as we see, the crypto space continue to move. And the last thing I want to bring up, because I think this is important for a lot of the people who are out here, wanting alt season to come, right? And I've shown this chart, for the past couple months as we've been doing our show, but we could say that we broke out, right? We broke out of this wedge, and now this might be a bearish retest. I don't know, right? Bitcoin could pump to 80K right now, and it might jump right back into this channel that it's been in ever since, 2022, right? When the bear market set in. But I would say we are close to possibly, maybe having an alt season here. And I also say this, I've been getting some texts, I've been seeing posts of people frustrated with where the market's at, especially for alt, saying they ain't making no money, they're leaving, they're done, they're packing up their bags. That makes me think we definitely getting close to alt season. So it might come here, it could come all the way up here, right? We don't know what Bitcoin's going to do, but I will say it did fall out, and especially if you go down to the smaller time frames. Oops. Click the weekly again. Let me go down here.
I would say this alt season or whatever we're seeing in the bull market has been different than the usual last couple cycles.
It's very different because you have Wall Street, you got BlackRock, you have all the major movers.
Nvidia.
Exactly. And that's the reason why I'm saying this could easily hop right back up into this channel and keep going, because you still have elections. You still have so much that can happen to swing and move markets to end this year out. So I would not be surprised to see Bitcoin jump right back in and continue to pump higher while alts trade sideways, don't really run as much. But I do think it's coming to an end soon.
That volatility of alts is definitely rocking people. If you're seeing your coin go down 40, 50%, that's not something that people are used to or comfortable with, for sure.
Exactly. So, like I said, I'm still bullish that this alt season is going to come. I'd probably put it like somewhere right in here. I think it could easily, Bitcoin could show some more weakness, and we'll have to see. But I think Bitcoin honestly might show more strength before it shows that weakness in the coming, weeks ahead. But really, that's all I'm really seeing. The VIX, obviously, you want to look at stocks. It's still, really low. S&P, I think, is having a bullish retest, right? It broke back out and it's coming back down to that area where I think if it can touch here and move higher, who knows? We could be looking for a really good summer for risk on assets. It really just depends. You got Nvidia. I'm sure it's up here. It's literally good. Look at that thing. I literally had one guy. I had one guy say, "Man, I'm really losing faith in crypto. I should just sell it all and buy Nvidia." And I'm like, that would have been the move back here, right? Buying it
even last week, that would have been the move.
it probably would have been because it was 800 and something. I remember,
Yeah,
and
that
now it's already
yeah.
1100, and they're doing a stock split, so that's going to be a very interesting
Well, I
thing to
think that I
see.
think the stock split is about to bring in another, 10 billion, 100 billion, because, psychology wise, you go, oh, I
Yeah,
can cop it for 150, and then that takes your mind in a different zone. Because I feel like right now the world wants Nvidia to pass Apple and then pass Microsoft. Because if that does happen, right, then you get a company that's worth 3.5 billion trillion, I
yeah,
mean, which easily then could go to 5 trillion, and people love to break records. We'll see
yeah.
this dude become the richest man in the world if that does happen.
Yeah,
Basically,
and honestly, you look at the stochastic RSI, it's had a bullish cross, it's moving, it's definitely got
it's
room
been
to
on
run.
fire for a year
Yeah,
and a half straight.
yeah. So,
I
and
can't
here
believe it.
I will say this, and this kind of bring it back to some of the crypto people, but I do think that Coinbase stock, right? If you're looking for something else that might have some legs to move forward in the coming, uh, you know, 6 months, a year, I think Coinbase stock is something that could be a good runner. That's still fairly cheap and fairly affordable compared to something like Nvidia, right? Because Coinbase is still positioning itself, I think, very well in this layer two run. And Vitalik talked about how the L2s are like cultural things, right? I mean, what is Base? Base is literally a cultural ecosystem. It's got the memes, it's got the
Yeah,
tech, it's got it has projects building on it for real world utility. They just had like on chain, or like in New York, they had like on chain pizza day where people could come to like the Coinbase truck and
yeah,
buy
that was pretty
pizza.
dope.
Yeah,
Mhm.
buy pizza with their crypto wallet. I mean, they're doing things that are going to make the average person say, huh, maybe I should give this a try. So I
But
wouldn't
Normie,
be.
Normie did get hacked.
I mean, here's the thing too. Like, and there is a category, like in my opinion, right? If you're out here and you're trading memes, there is a category of like you have to expect. Even Whiff at one point had the devs rugged. I'm pretty sure if you go back and look at early on. And I'm not saying Normie is anything like Whiff, but like if the meme has a literal no utility except that it's a meme and it's funny, then I can guarantee you it's going to have many times where it goes 80%, 60%, 70% down, in quick successions, right? Devs and early backers are going to take profits. And in many cases, most of these will go to zero. Like, that's just the way
I
it
feel
is.
like we can't. I personally, I don't think I can name one meme that has utility, and I'll include SHIB and Dogecoin in there.
I mean, yeah, they
I
don't have
can't.
utility, but there's
Yeah,
more than
there's
just
nothing going
maybe
on
the
there.
memeability of it, right? And
Yeah,
so let's take an ad break and then we'll come back and hit a
yeah.
few other things.
Yo, welcome back, everyone. Big shout out to our sponsors. Check them out below. NF Domains, Non-Fungible Domains. We have Exa Market, V2 coming soon. Gora, and Gora's just dropped Gorify. So make sure you check them out. Again, big shout out to them.
Yeah,
So when we
yeah.
talk about
Shanti Edwards is
memes,
yeah. Algorand needs more memes. It does. It needs some like truly funny, memeable memes. And that's yet to be seen if that'll happen. I will say, the one
yeah,
interesting thing that
definitely.
Algorand does seem to be like, I guess, appealing to is the travel industry. I've seen a lot of things from the travel industry side building and wanting to use Algorand, so that will be interesting. Because I do think in the future, right, like certain chains will dominate certain sectors and certain businesses. And so it'd be interesting that even if Algorand doesn't dominate in retail and doesn't dominate in certain things, maybe it is still just an infrastructure layer chain, layer one chain that gets utilized by certain industries more than maybe others, right?
Well, let me challenge that because I agree there. But like what Fisherman was talking about, how does that benefit everybody holding that token? That was always something I thought about. There's no
Right. And
benefit
I'm
there.
not, yeah. And I'm not saying there would be a benefit. I'm not saying that it
Mhm.
would pump the Algorand price up. I'm just saying that the Algorand
I
technology
agree.
may
Yeah.
be used, but the underlying token, no idea if it would actually, really benefit and move up. Unless, like I said, maybe if it
Because remember,
came to
Planet
be,
Watch, before it left, it was pretty much number one on the chain of transactions. And that, just because, when people talk about Solana faking transaction, pumping numbers, what can we say about Planet Watch doing the same thing, or the orange token doing the exact same thing, just
yeah,
pumping numbers, pumping numbers? And I remember we had Sean Ford on, and he was talking about as well. He mentioned that TVL is probably not the best metric, and so is
no.
not the transaction per second. So I agree with Solana may go down, Algorand does not go down. That is very true. But it's kind of like, what is your business model? Like you talking about for a Travel X, this is great for Algorand. If I want to get someone on who has actually purchased a ticket using one of those Travel X airlines, I want to
Yeah.
know about that experience. Because what I do, I'll be flying like Delta, Alaska, and those type of things. You pay an extra $100, you can do exactly what Travel X is claiming to do with transferring tickets and what. Not
Right.
exactly, pretty
I guess
close.
the benefit would be being able to take out the middleman, right? Maybe not having to pay that extra hundred
Yeah,
dollars. Obviously, who knows,
I don't
maybe
want
they
to pay
bake.
that 100. Just to let y'all know.
Yeah, maybe they bake that into the ticket sale. Who knows? But
Yeah.
I do have one thing to share here for the algo holders, because like I said, I have been receiving some messages from friends and just people, seeing some, is it time to give up hope? Time to run for the hills? Is Algorand done? This is a
Mhm.
good chart, right? I think, and this is engineering here. He's a great follow on Twitter X if you want to follow him and you like holding Algorand. And he's got a chart here that's showing, we did make a higher high, a higher low. And right now it's looking like we're getting a bullish bounce off this retest down here for Algorand. And obviously the target, right, to take profit. And I definitely think it comes earlier than this, but it'd be, it could hit this $1.80 mark. I think taking profit should happen closer to 67 cents to $1.20, like right in through these windows, these gray lines. That's where I think there will be a lot of sell pressure. And so I do believe for this, next pump of algo, I think it's going to be hard for Algorand to get above this 67 cents to $1.10 area because you have so many bag holders who have been like holding Algorand for so long. They're going to take some profit or at least break even and even just sit out for a bit until they see where the market's going. Like I
I think
just
the
that's
40 cent
my
range, the 40 cent range is going to be hard to get through than the 50, that 40 to 50. 'Cause that's where a lot of people I know be writing. Even Ryan just wrote that right there. But a lot of people, whether he's joking or not, but a lot of people, a lot of people are always talking about that range of like,
Yeah.
and I can
Like I
X
said,
Tony,
I
Tony.
would I think 67 cents to $1.10, $1.20 is where I would be, for sure taking most of my profits if you've been, especially if you've been buying down here in the 8, 9 cents. If you load it up right here and Algorand gets to $1, you literally just, you did a 10x. Take profit. Like don't take the risk at riding this thing back down because
But
as
what
we can
about the
see,
tech?
Algorand can fall quick. This was, obviously that was COVID, but it doesn't take but and this is just the 2 week, it doesn't take but a couple months and you can wipe out 50, 60% of gains. So if you see that massive impulse, we get that big alt season like I was showing with Bitcoin dominance falling, be sure to take some profits. And if you love algo, it doesn't mean you're abandoning it. Wait for it to drop down to a better price, buy back in, get more. That's what I would say.
You don't want to abandon the tech, y'all.
No.
Yeah, I'm just playing. But yeah, I'm hoping for the
Silvio
best.
hasn't. Silvio has not abandoned the tech. Silvio is still here. We see him every day. He literally like the team meetings that he gives out are just, you know, 0 to none. Nobody matches from a, you know, just being out there with the people. You know, no one matches what he does. I've literally yet to see it. Vitalik, I mean, he's everywhere. Dude's on Warpcast. He's on Twitter. Like doing interviews
Yeah.
at Consensus. You know, he's everywhere. Sailor, obviously champion. He's everywhere. Nobody is nowhere
Sailor
like
is
Silvio.
Bitcoin now.
Yeah, but nobody is nowhere like Silvio. Nobody can do it like him.
Yeah, yeah.
He goes
Yeah,
to.
Silvio, you know, and it's a tough one because yeah, he is nowhere to be found except if you go to like a private VIP event, he might be there.
With 20 people
And
in the audience.
yeah, with his entourage, like he a rapper. But big shout out to, you know, the Algorand blockchain. I'm still bullish on the chain. Price, price is not what we're here for anymore, right? We here, we
Price.
here for the community. No, straight up.
I mean,
I like the Algorand community.
I
So
do.
big shout out
I will
to
say
all of y'all. You know what I'm
that is
saying?
the
I
one
like the
thing.
community.
That's the
Sometimes a little
one
negative,
thing.
but I like the community.
I mean, every community has some negativity out there. It's just other ones aren't
Yeah.
as negative because they don't have to deal with, you know, they've not had to deal with as much bearish price action as the Algorand people have. But I will say there is not many communities out there that are still as big and as loud as the Algorand community, with the price being as beat down and, you know, everything that's happened. Like there's not
Yeah.
many. So who are
Yeah,
you
some people,
looking at
well, I would say
next?
that I'll say, a lot of the people are a little crazy, maybe.
Yeah. So what
Should have
I'll say
bought
this,
Nvidia.
Ryan, what am I looking at next? All right, I'm gonna share one more thing. Let me present this. And I've made this you know, I feel like I've made these posts quite a few times. But if you're not on Warpcast, you should be, right? Because I'm on Base. I think Base is going to do similar to what Binance did with Binance Smart Chain. And I think you'd be crazy to not be holding some of the tokens that are going to be, I think, the lifeblood of Base, which is
Ryan Hire.
Aerodrome. What is it? Higher. Hey, it is. Let's go over and see what's cracking over there. It's a meme coin, but hey,
Oh
it's got
man.
a decent community. Look, aim higher. You know, I don't know. You know, arrow. We're going higher. That's literally all you need to know. But you know, there are some cool things that are happening on Base. I definitely think Warpcast has a lot of the alpha that if you're interested with what Base is doing, Jesse is doing a great job as far as leading the developers and really helping make sure people have what they need to build. And so, you know, I'm bullish on that. Outside of really Base, I
Well,
mean,
I'll say what I did like though, going back to the pizza thing you was talking about. That was a real thing, right? And
yeah,
I use Base too. So he used Base, bought pizza, and that literally took how fast I check out at a grocery store. Because the real
yeah,
thing about checking out, you do have to look to make sure they ain't triple charging you, or you got your right
yeah,
invoice on there, and then you scan it. You don't just click like that. You don't want to do that. And it worked pretty fast. The fees are really cheap, and it seemed to be getting cheaper using Base. So I do
yeah.
like Base. I think it's a solid blockchain. It puts Ethereum in a good position and situation. And as we
Yeah.
talked about, it has not hit an all-time high. Ethereum
Mm-mm.
been the second to Bitcoin for a long
And the
time now.
leading DEX
Yeah, and the leading
Aerodrome
decks
on Base is just flipped
past Uniswap.
Uniswap
Yep.
in volume. Yeah, so that's huge. That has not like that. You're seeing stuff happen on Base that
Mhm.
most chains, Arbitrum, Polygon, all the other L2s, even Optimism when it started, all those have failed and have not really, you know, I would say shown that Ethereum can scale, you know, using a layer 2. And I think Base is doing that. So like I say, I think you'd be pretty crazy to fade to some extent what Base is doing. I feel like I put them in the same vein. Fading Base is like fading Solana still. Like obviously I think I will say this though. I think there is more. I think you're still early to a lot of things on Base, whereas Solana, I think a lot of things are already so overheated and high that I think you're not going to get as much gains there. Even if you're looking at WIF or Jupiter Exchange or some of their other dexes, I think Arrow and
Mhm.
Moonwell and DGen Higher and some of these other memes, like there is no meme on base that's above that's even hit $1 billion fully diluted value, and you've already had multiple ones on Solana. So I just think base is gonna suck a lot of that volume away as this on-chain summer and as the alt season heats up. I think it's going to be a competition between Ethereum and base and the super chain versus Solana and what it can do. I think those two are going to be jockeying for position.
Well, once people, once some app get developed, right, or pretty much the Coinbase wallet is that, but if they make a real app that turns into the processor app where you can just buy and sell with there.
Mhm.
So I like the whole idea of buying things with stable coin, USDC preferred, because it is not volatile and you can just do what you need to do and it's really cheap. So I think once that happens or the Coinbase wallet starts to transform, remember we dropped the higher anthem and it's
Mhm.
in the Coinbase wallet. It's like
Yeah.
a Spotify playlist, like you got iTunes in there.
Yeah.
And then
And we have,
seeing
I think,
that, I've seen no wallet do that before, and that's a
yeah.
game changer.
And the cool thing is the marketplace that we did it on, it's got 88 mints. So 88 people minted that song. And like you said, it's so cool. Like I literally sent it to like 2 or 3 people as
Yep, I sent
well.
it out.
And yeah, and people were like, oh dang, like you can actually listen to it right there in the wallet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
And it
It's
sounds just
pretty
as
dang
good
cool.
as it would sound on any other platform. I'll be banging
Yep.
that in the car. I'm like, damn.
Exactly.
So if y'all ain't seen that, go to my page. It's pinned on the Twitter. Go get you some higher, which means you can go then purchase the higher anthem and get your vibes up. You know what I'm saying?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So as we start to close out, y'all, make sure you tap in next week. We got more shows to come for y'all, more things to discuss. And if you ever want us to bring on some guests or any topics y'all would like, write us on Twitter, write us under the post, send us a DM, and we'll definitely get to it. We appreciate y'all for joining us today. Anything else for you?
That is it. See everybody. Check out the website, thenextblock.net.
See you next week.